What's up YouTube? For this video, we're going to be comparing two popular shoe cleaners. Here we have the Jason Markk shoe cleaner, and here we have the Reshoevn8r shoe cleaner. I wanted to make this video as fair and unbiased as possible in order to really determine which between these two cleaners is better. So this is not at all a sponsored video, so all the opinions that I'll be sharing in this video is honest and my own. So for the methods and procedures that I'll be doing in this video, I basically have a pair of really old, dirty, and beat up white Reebok Classics. And with these dirty pair of white shoes, I'll be designating each shoe to each cleaner. So in this case, the left shoe will be cleaned by the Jason Markk cleaner, and the right shoe will be cleaned by the Reshoevn8r cleaner. Also, in order to make this comparison as fair as possible, I'll be using fresh water, a fresh brush, and a separate fresh towel for each shoe and each cleaner. And that way I can avoid and minimize any chance of cross-contamination. I will be following the exact instructions provided by each cleaner in order to fully encapsulate the product's intended use for that respective cleaner. And then at the end, we'll compare the two shoes to see which cleaner is better. So with that being said, let's get into it.
All right, we're gonna start with the Jason Markk shoe cleaner for the left shoe. So directions, step 1, dip brush into the bowl of water. Step 2, apply a liberal amount of solution to the brush. Liberal, whatever that means. Very subjective, but I think that should be liberal enough. Step 3, dip brush back into bowl of water. Step 4, scrub shoes, creating foaming action. Tongue is pretty much all made of mesh, but it's just full of dirt and sweat stains. I'm pretty much just going to town here. I would say I'm pretty much applying a medium to hard pressure throughout the whole shoe, but especially on the mesh. I feel like that's really the only way you can like agitate the dirt and break it all up. But again, it's important that you use the soft bristle brush on the mesh so that you don't damage the mesh fibers. The heel drag is like literally black. I can't believe the shoe used to be all white. All right, so I would say that's a good first layer. The next instructions say wipe clean with a towel and then repeat steps 1 through 5 as needed. So let's pretty much use this white towel to wipe down the first attempt. Well, the leather's definitely looking a lot better. The mesh, though, is still a bit browned. Maybe it'll look better once it actually dries or once we do that a handful of times. All right, so we just did our first attempt, just wiped it more or less dry. So the instructions on the cleaner is to just repeat those steps over and over again until I guess you have the desired effect, and then you let it air dry at the end. So let's fast forward and do that. Getting that nice foaming action on the second go around here. Use a clean part of the towel to wipe it down again. All right, just about did the second go around here, and I'm definitely seeing some progress. The midsole is really still dark though, if anything. I don't know if this is really gonna come off, but I think for good measure, we'll do one more trial here. So we'll do a total of 3 wipe downs. Third, scrub down. We'll just do one more, a liberal amount, dip it again, scrub it again. I do my best to get this tongue one last time. All right, third wipe down. Gonna use the clean side of this white towel one last time just to visualize how much dirt we're gonna wipe off after this third scrub down. All right, I think that's more or less the best I can do after 3 wipe downs. If I really wanted to be a perfectionist, I should do this a few more times, but for the purpose of this video, let's just limit it to 3 rounds and we'll see where that takes us. They're definitely still wet, so the instructions are to allow these shoes to air dry. So I'm pretty much just gonna let these air dry for a whole day and we'll follow up afterwards. All right, let's move on to the Reshoevn8r cleaner with the right shoe. I'm not sure if the camera is picking it up, but the mesh parts of the shoe are definitely browned and yellowed out. A pretty evident stain on the toe box right there. So here are the directions on the Reshoevn8r. Fill the bowl with 4 ounces of water, done that. And then add a small amount of Reshoevn8r cleaning solution. Doesn't say exactly how much, but it says a small amount, so we'll go something like that. Dip the appropriate brush into mixture. I'm going with a soft bristle brush since I'm working with a mesh shoe. Dip it in the bowl. Scrub the shoe, creating a lather. If needed, repeat previous steps until desired results. That's more or less the same instructions as the Jason Markk, so I'm pretty much going to do more or less the same method. So dipped and lather. It's not creating as much of a foaming appearance yet, but the instructions on the Jason Markk said a generous or copious amount or something like that. Here it says add a small amount. So, I mean, again, there's no exact measurements or anything like that, but so far this rub down is not creating much soap or any suds or anything. So I think I'm gonna add more. The other thing too is that the Reshoevn8r instructions are saying to mix the solution in the bowl, whereas the Jason Markk had you apply the solution straight onto the brush. So take that as you will. There you go. So I added a lot more solution and now that's the effect I'm pretty sure I should be getting. It's starting to fade off though in terms of the suds and the soap. I'm not getting that foaming appearance as much as I was the Jason Markk. Just have to dip it a good handful of times, I guess. There you go. Really getting into the tongue, the mesh tongue here. All right, I think that's enough for the first round. It says wipe shoe with clean towel, which is actually the same instructions as the Jason Markk. Fresh, clean white towel. I'm gonna wipe it down. All right, I pretty much did the first round of cleaning here, and here is the shoe so far. Again, the white leathers are actually looking pretty good. The mesh still got a ways to go, so the instructions on the Reshoevn8r says the same thing where, if needed, repeat previous step until desired results. To keep this video consistent with the Jason Markk, I'm gonna do 3 total trials, just like I did with the Jason Markk. So let's go for 2 more. All right, so we just finished 3 rounds of the Reshoevn8r. This is what the shoe looks like, but it's still wet. So we are gonna let these air dry overnight and we will compare the 2 shoes tomorrow.
All right, we waited a day later for both of these shoes to dry, and so here are the results. After having cleaned both of these shoes with these respective cleaners, the better cleaning solution is the Reshoevn8r. I would say that the more telling sign in terms of determining which cleaner was more effective was how well it was able to clean white mesh. Mesh is an absorptive material, so it does absorb dirt a lot harder. Synthetic leather, on the other hand, is a lot easier to clean, so comparing these 2 shoes in particular, the Reshoevn8r shoes seem to have left a better and more clean white mesh. Unfortunately for the Jason Markk, the mesh still has more browning to it compared to the Reshoevn8r, as well as the midsole too. The midsole on the Jason Markk shoes are just not as white and as clean as the Reshoevn8r midsoles. But now at this point, let's briefly talk about the results. First of all, I just want to say that this is by no means a strong or definitive recommendation for these cleaners. This is purely based off of my observation for just 1 pair of shoes. So with that being said, this study did have a few flaws. The first flaw is that there is no objective or measurable data that I implemented here, and the results were just purely based off of my observation and my eyes, so there's some subjectivity. I realized in the middle of this whole process, what I should have done is I should have exactly measured how much solution I'm using of each cleaner in order to have a more level playing field. So the instructions on the Jason Markk said to use a liberal amount of solution, whereas the Reshoevn8r instructions said to use a small amount. So there's a lot of subjectivity there, and there was no definitive measurable amount of solution. So during the whole process, I obviously did not use an equal amount. And during the cleaning process of the Reshoevn8r cleaner, I did not get the foaming effect that I was looking for initially. So when I used the small amount of the Reshoevn8r, it wasn't foaming or creating those suds of the soapy solution like it did the Jason Markk. So I took it upon myself to just use a liberal amount of Reshoevn8r instead in order to create that soaping effect. So my point being is that I did not use an equal amount of solution between these two. When I went liberal with the Reshoevn8r, perhaps I went overboard on the liberalness of the volume, and maybe that's why these shoes came out cleaner than the Jason Markks. Who knows? I don't know, but that might have altered the results. The other little flaw or weakness to this video and study is that this study is only applied to one specific pair of shoes. In order to have a much stronger and truly definitive and persuasive conclusion, it'd be best if you did the same exact procedure to multiple different pairs of dirty shoes. In scientific terms, they call this the sample size. So basically, the higher or the bigger the sample size, the more persuasive the conclusion of the study. In this example, if you have 100 pair of shoes that you clean with these cleaners, and 80 or 90% of these shoes look cleaner after the Reshoevn8r, then you can more so say that the Reshoevn8r is the better cleaner than the Jason Markk. But again, this video only does one pair, so you really got to take these results with a grain of salt. All in all, both cleaners still did a very decent job, and I pretty much walked away with a fresh new pair of white Reeboks. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Which between these two cleaners did you think was going to be better? Or if you have any other solutions or methods in which you clean your sneakers, I'd love to hear about it. If you made it this far into the video, please do me a huge favor, hit that like button, it'll help me out a lot, and consider subscribing for more content on styles, sneakers, and science. While you're at it, check out my other videos here or here. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.